Welcome vintage film fans, George here, and we are at my brand new setup in my home studio. We got the clipboard of creeps here as always. We also got Pete Venkman, a Klingon, and a Borg, so we are ready to talk about a pretty campy film from 1953. This is Invaders from Mars. I haven't seen this movie in a long time. It's probably been about 15 years, somewhere around that. So I am going to do one of my reaction videos. This is where I will watch segments of the movie, then I'll jump back on in between my segments and I'll give you my thoughts and my overall impressions, because it's been so long since I've seen this that I think it will be relatively fresh when I rewatch it now. But I do have the clipboard of creeps, like I said, and there are some trivia things I looked up. I do remember the basic plot. So there is this little boy, and he looks out a window one night, and he sees a flying saucer land. And then his parents, one by one, go to investigate. And when they come back, they're changed. But no one believes the boy. But he has to figure out a way to get the adults around him to believe that his parents are taken over by aliens. I do remember that's the basic premise behind this, but I don't remember the details very much. So I'm looking forward to jumping on the camera here, giving it a watch, and then I will pop back in here. We'll talk about some trivia. I'll give you my overall impression of what I'm seeing, and then we'll wrap it up with some final thoughts. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to jump on the TV here and give it a view, and I will be back in a few minutes. See you then. Alright, checking back in on Invaders from Mars. This is pretty fun. I like this movie. I always have. It's like I said, it's been so long since I've watched it, but I'm getting right back into it. The pacing is actually pretty good. The little boy, David, he just automatically starts seeing the strange things. They don't make you wait too long for that. And then the plot just starts moving along. Just like I said earlier, he's looking out his window. He sees a spaceship land over a ridge. His dad goes out. And when his dad comes back, he's changed. And oh boy, is he changed. It's kind of funny. It's because like these Martians are going to come down and go incognito and do the whole invasion of the body snatcher thing. And they're going to take over somebody's identity. But it's like they have not learned to blend in better. I mean, it's like a complete 180. His dad at the start is like a Leave It to Beaver's father, like a Ward Cleaver's, completely nicest guy you ever met in your life. And then as soon as he is taken over by a Martian and comes back, he's the biggest jerk that you would ever imagine. He's just being mean to the kid. He's slapping him around, knocking him around. And there's just nothing about his personality that's duplicated in any way. And that's funny to me. Because I don't know why the Martians would decide that we're going to take over people and their identities and not even try to figure out a way to blend in a little bit better. Real quick before I jump back on, I got the clipboard of creeps. I just wanted to mention that this starred Helena Carter, Arthur Franz, and Jimmy Hunt, like I said, is the boy who plays David. There's the stars. This was actually one of the first science fiction scripts written in the 1950s. That's pretty noteworthy, I think. So the revised version of the script was completed in September 1950. And the film wasn't produced until 1952, and it was released in early 1953. So when you talk about 50s sci-fi, this was one of the first. This was a kind of a groundbreaking story for that genre that, if you're like me, I really like that genre, and we kind of owe this movie, Invaders from Mars, was one of the pioneers of the 1950s sci-fi era, which is pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to jump back on and go watch the next act, and I will be back in a little bit. See you then. Yeah, okay. So we are, we've just done the first about 50 minutes of this film, and it's funny. It's a good movie, but there are just definitely some silly, campy things going on. For one thing, where we left off on the first break, the kid, David, was doing that whole running around trying to convince people thing. And in this next act, he pretty much convinces like some very key adults right off the bat that these phenomena are happening, that these people are being taken over by aliens. So he gets a doctor lady, it's like a child psychologist or something. He convinces her pretty quickly. Then an astronomer he knows because his dad's a big shot, an engineer, and so he knows all these like scientists, and he convinces this astronomer pretty much right away. And then really not long after that, they manage to convince the army that this is happening. And there's this whole montage where they're loading tanks up and stuff, and it's like this is all based on a kid's hysteria, and they take him pretty seriously really quick. So I thought that was kind of funny, but you know they needed to move the story along, and I guess they didn't want to spend a lot of screen time on that whole having the kid running around trying to convince people things. So at least they were able to move into the next phase of the story pretty quickly. Alright, so I'm going to jump back in and finish this bad boy off. I'll be back to do a couple more trivia things from the clipboard of creeps. Give you my final thoughts. We'll be doing that here in a few more. See you then. And we've reached the end of Invaders from Mars. Yeah, that was cool. I like it. Yeah, I actually did like that. It in the third act, it really starts to pick up. We get over everything I said before about how the army believed the kid and the adults believe the kid. You get past all that. The army's there, and then the kid and the doctor lady get sucked down into the inner chamber of the Martian spaceship, and that's when things get kind of fun there. You're down there, and we get to meet the actual brain of the operation, and it is this big bulbous head that's inside a glass sphere with tentacles, and that is the main Martian brain or bad guy, I suppose. And we're down in the inner sanctum of the Martian ship, and then the army soldiers get down in there, and we have fighting with guns and with heat rays, and the kids running around, and they're setting charges, and they're fighting the monsters and the Martians, and that stuff was fun. It's fun, campy, 1950s sci-fi silliness, but why not? It's just good for that kind of thing. So I got the clipboard of creeps here. Wanted to say one more trivia thing, and this is related to the Martian head creature. So Lucy Potter was one of the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz, 1939. And she played the Martian head enclosed in glass in this film. And for years, she received letters from fans of the movie telling her how much she had scared them as kids. So that Martian head was a former Munchkin from The Wizard of Oz. Pretty cool piece of trivia, I think. Alright, so that brings me to my final thoughts on Invaders from Mars. Like I said before, it's campy, it's B-movie stuff. The kid is the hero, and it feels like it's kind of really geared towards kids as an audience, but the inner kid in me enjoys that, I guess. I will say a little shout out to Amazon, because this was available for free on Amazon Prime. So at the time of this recording, if you're interested in watching it, you can go to Amazon Prime and watch it if you have Amazon Prime, and it won't cost you anything. I like that. I want to throw some props to Amazon for doing that, keeping some of these older classic films in their catalog for us to enjoy. Like if you look at Netflix, they don't have anything from this era. They don't really think audiences care about this stuff. And so the fact that Amazon's willing to do that and have a few titles of this vein, I think is a good thing to mention. And if you want to watch it and you got an Amazon Prime, go check it out. It is a lot of fun. Alright, so that's our film this round, Invaders from Mars. Fun stuff. I enjoyed talking about it. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I appreciate it. And until the next time, have a good one.